Good morning. I think I spied a nutria. You can see there swimming along. I hadn't seen one for a long time. Well, I don't know, a year, whatever, 6 months, 8 months, 10 months. Sorry about that, guys. This fell off the Osmo. I apologize. Hopefully nobody got hurt. These things are tightly. They're very, like, it's a narrow margin of security. We're very close to the nutria now. Just hold on there. Sorry. Coming around here right now. Come on. There we go. He went deep there. Probably didn't realize it was us, but we got a nice picture of him there towards the end. He went deep down below the stones. Deep dive. The deep state of the nutria. And then we have two purple herons. I think the population of the purple herons is rising, or at least we're noticing them more easily. There are two here perched on little branches right here in the center of the screen. Let's zero in a little more on them. Some of them have a great majesty, the way they stand, the way they stretch. You have one there in the very center, a little bit over to the left is another one. Oops. I wonder if that was a fish jumping or... Yesterday I were fish jumping 7 times. I saw 5, and actually maybe even more than 7. But when I was wrapping up doing the Instagram post, all the things you have to put in, location and title and hashtags and tagging and all that, there were 3 or 4 times, and I'm absolutely 99% sure it was fish jumping with the plumping in the water. So my batteries were completely empty this morning. I had to charge them up before we came out here on our little tour, on our stroll and chat, sunrise stroll and chat. Oh, something very funny happened last night. I was praying here on a chair just around 6, before Mass, around 6 o'clock. And there were 2 catfish over here, and they're over here again. And the Egyptian geese came along. And one of the Egyptian geese all the Egyptian geese were here at the shore, checking for stuff on the ground, and their heads were half the time in the water, or their beaks. And then the 2 catfish, one of the Egyptian geese started to snap at the catfish. It was very funny, and they kept coming back. And the geese were intrigued by the catfish and their movements. They weren't moving like geese. all the mysteries of nature. So let's look at the readings today. God wrote two great books, the book of nature and the books of Revelation, the Bible. And so it's always fascinating to contemplate nature. It's good for us, good for our heart and mind and soul to get out. I hope you're getting out there for walks in this summertime in the Northern Hemisphere. And if you're down under and it's a little chilly, then put on some warm clothes and get out there and feel that chill air. And if you have snow, right now we're in our mid-30s here. It's very hot these days. And we're just at the end of May. There go two of our purple herons. A thought came to me about Peter's letter. Some of the exegetes, I haven't checked this up now freshly, but some of the exegetes, the experts, think that it's part of the older text of the New Testament. And if that's the case, the younger text, the latest written text. So if that's the case, which has many reasons going for it, then, well, Peter's already martyred, and his name is lent to the letter coming from the school of Peter, the thought of Peter, the preaching of Peter, and it would have his stamp. But it's not just a theory about what Christians go through, it's actually a reality, because he has been martyred and crucified upside down. And the impression this would have made on his own community, where they surely loved him and appreciated him, and to see that kind of disciple going forward in that kind of way, and his life finishing in that kind of way, and then as the persecutions of the Christians in the Roman Empire became very serious, and to read the letter of Peter in that context, talking about trials and difficulties, it's very interesting, to consider what that means for the disciples at that time when they talk about going through trials, concerning it's really a whole treatment of that, and it's measuring up to the life of Jesus himself and his pattern of life. And that concept is also very clear in the New Testament about our lives being patterned according to Jesus. And if Jesus himself really taught very clearly and abundantly after the resurrection that this was expected by the scriptures, then it was confirmed in Jesus' own life, and then it was confirmed in the life of his first disciples. And so therefore you see the church growing in a sense of understanding of the life of a disciple in this world. And that continues to this very day. And we know we have some countries where if you decide to be a Christian, in Nigeria, for example, you're going to have, it's going to be a very tough prospect for you. And so those who decide to do that are making a very strong existential choice. And even for those great souls, those noble souls, they're going to have to deal with two major issues in their lives. And one is going to be the desires that are inside, and that's a big theme here, because our natural tendencies don't change just because we have been baptized. And if somebody offends me or hurts me, my natural reaction will be, why? Demanding justice, maybe getting angry, and being very disappointed. I can't be happy about that. And going to some motions of self-defense, verbally or emotionally, or maybe even aggressive attitudes and responses, maybe even shouting, maybe even banging a fist on the table, maybe even taking revenge. All of those tendencies that are natural rise up. And especially then, if there have been periods where things have been going nice and dandy, and there's prosperity, and there's appreciation for being a Christian, we can get used to that, and then our natural desires for appreciation and for a comfortable lifestyle, having it easy, can flourish. Those natural desires are satisfied, and then it can come down to hard choices. If the society's drift turns against the Christians, and that's possible. It has happened so many times in the history of Europe, in different parts of the history of Europe, then to maintain one's principles becomes a great challenge. Also because of our own interior desires. What do we wish for? What do we long for? What's our aspiration? And we have that great word of Jesus, my kingdom is not of this world. What kind of a kingdom are we looking for? I wanted to show you all these yellow flowers up here. I don't know if we had focused on them that much. And the bees are really at it. Some great honey with the flavor from these trees and nectar. And there's lots of them around here, all of them, most of them. And I'm sorry that I don't know the name of those trees, so somebody can educate me and bring me out of my ignorance. So that's the big struggle inside of us, that sometimes people, there are three major areas of enmity to our spiritual life. And one of them is, let's say, that persecution from outside. And Jesus had to deal with it, and the first disciples were all martyrs, so there was public witness. But then there's an area of pressure inside us from our own nature that wants an easy life, a comfortable life, pleasure, not to be disturbed, to have it joyful, and so on. Oh yes, and I was getting, before I saw the yellow trees there, to Jesus' word that my kingdom is not of this world. So being a disciple, it's important for us to, even if we have it easy and we have a nice kingdom in this world, we have a nice garden, we have a nice morning walk in the sunrise, we have all these nice things, that nevertheless our desires have to be desires for the things that are above, for the kingdom of God, because Christ's kingdom is not of this world. This world points to God's kingdom, the beauty of it, the chirping of the birds, the sunrise and all those things, but our desire is not fulfilled with those things. So how do we handle our desires? Very big point for today. And then that's also a point of the gospel, really, because after yesterday's story of the rich young man going away sad and closing his heart to so much love from Jesus, Peter's asking, what about us? Because if it's tough for rich people to go to heaven, we left everything for you, Jesus. We gave it up for you. And that's the great promise. And I have to tell you, I'm blessed with so many friendships, so many people who support in many different ways, so many people who care. And this has been true for the last 50 years since I made this step. I could have easily inherited the farm at home. It wouldn't have been an issue, it wouldn't have been a debate. if I had stayed at home working with my dad, which was at one time a great desire of my heart in 1972. But then, through a lot of circumstances we won't go into right now, I was able to go back and finish school, finish high school, go back to the books. But I had already been on the track mentally and disposition-wise to stay at home with my dad on the farm. And that's the normal pattern. Farms need continuity. And usually one of the boys can stay at home and keep milking the cows and shearing the sheep and plowing and all of the rest of it, you know. But what I've received in the last 50 years of blessings in so many ways, I could never put on a medal of merit for having left all of that, because the Lord has been so good to me. And in a certain sense, that's one of the reasons for the consecrated life in the church, that some have a vocation of being called to leave everything in that particular way physically. But we all have a call to leave everything spiritually. That we aren't attached to things in a way that we think they're ours. That we aren't attached to things in a way that we desire them to give us happiness, because they can't. They give us a little satisfaction for a while, a nice cup of coffee, somebody's smile. All of these things are nice and they're good and they're blessings from God. No question about it. The sun rises a gift every morning, and behind every gift is a giver. But at the end of the day, none of these things is sufficient for my heart. Yesterday I was talking to a wonderful man whose 97-year-old mother is at the end of her life. You can say a little prayer for her and for the family. And that's part of the path, because we're not for here. My kingdom is not of this world. But we're attached to the relationships, and in a way that's understandable and not wrong, but we shouldn't be attached in the sense that we're holding on and we're taking control of them. Of course, we love our parents. We're called to honor our parents, to cherish them, to show them great love, to be very kind, to be very close, to help. But then at some point they will be taken from us, and everything will be taken from us. Tell me one thing that won't be taken from you. Of all the material world, everything. Everything. And so my kingdom is not of this world. The Lord has made his salvation known, as the psalm we have today. And how true that is, how wonderful it is. Let's leave it like that, people. God bless you. See you later, alligators. Don't worry about things being taken from you. The Lord is going to give you much more. Eyesight, hearing, memory. Doesn't matter what. Your little dog. Your house. Goodbye. God bless you.